The undeniably big topics get virtually no discussion at all. War, civil liberties, demographic change.
Demographic change. You had to slide that in there, dude. Yeah. White people are having sex with non-white people. They should be talking about that. What's going on? I think about that all the time. If you want to understand truly riveting commentary about media moguls, you have to go to a media mogul himself. I am, of course, referencing the ape of all apes, Joe Rogan. Let's hear
Did you
what
see the Tucker Carlson interview on Full Send?
Yes, I saw. I didn't watch the entire thing, but I saw a few clips of it when he's talked about how much he regrets supporting the war in Iraq. That's what you're referring to. Yeah. And I believe him. I think he really means it.
I believe him too.
Sometimes there's people like John McCain types who go like, or Hillary Clinton. They'll admit, okay, it was a mistake, but then they still support every subsequent war after that, and it doesn't see. Whereas Tucker is like, I'm so ashamed that I supported this, I'll never forgive myself for it, and has opposed every subsequent war after that. And I'm like, okay, I think this guy really believes it.
He's different than people want to pretend he is.
Analysis, dude. It's riveting. Tucker Carlson does that fun little rhetorical trick there where he will claim that he's against this war. This being the primary thing that you need to pay attention to. He's not against war. He's against this war. Tucker Carlson, the peaceful.
We stand back and let our biggest trading partner, the country with which we share the longest border, and actually, I could just say a great country. I love Canada. I've always loved Canada because of its natural beauty. Why should we let it become Cuba? Like, why don't we liberate it? We're spending all this money to liberate Ukraine from the Russians. Why are we not sending an armed force north to liberate Canada from Trudeau? And I mean it. So one of the
That's our peaceful dove, who's a socialist, by the way.
Particularly how polarizing he is to people that it's almost like they're describing a different person than he actually is.
Classical liberal. I don't like the populist economic ideas, but the white supremacy is cool. I mean, he's a libertarian, so he's awesome.
Look at this, dude. Don Lemon is out at CNN, right? I promise you, whoever replaces Don Lemon has the same exact views as Don Lemon and the same exact views of everybody else at CNN, and that's not true for Tucker Carlson.
He's right. I think that the reason why Don Lemon got fired was because he was like super misogynistic behind the scenes, was a diva. His ratings were plummeting a little bit, and he was getting too big for his britches as well. But the person that will inevitably replace Don Lemon will have nearly identical views that they present on camera. Whereas with Tucker Carlson, yes, the person that they will replace Tucker Carlson with will still be just as racist as Tucker Carlson, or will say a lot of racist shit. He just won't be as good as Tucker Carlson at cutting white nationalist propaganda. And I think that's by design. I think that is by design. I think that it got to a point where like Tucker Carlson was too anti-capitalist because capitalism had created diversity in his eye. And that got to a point where the Fox News executives were like, dude, you're doing this, you're popular, but like you're losing advertisers, you're going too crazy, you're too racist. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think that Tucker Carlson's racism might have become a liability for Fox News. So the person that they'll have in his stead, the person that will replace him, they will try to find someone who is, pretty racist regardless, right? But not all that racist, like not so much so that like blue chip advertisers are going to run away. Tucker did 600 shows on The Great Replacement. I'm not joking. This was a count. Jesus Christ.
Like there was a guy out there who like would disagree with the rest of the people at his network. Yeah. Disagree with both political parties.
He's really designed for the internet.
I hope he goes there.
He's going to, unless they've paid him off to like if I was a person in a position of power and a wild card like Tucker Carlson got released from Fox News and maybe Rumble makes a deal with him or something like that. Do you have any idea how big that would be? How big his show, it could make that app, it could make that platform. I mean, if Tucker Carlson goes over there, it would be worth it for them to invest a considerable amount of money. But if I was Fox News, that's the last thing I would want. So I would make sure that we have him locked up for the entire term of some contract, some no compete, and pay him off. You'd be better off just giving him the same amount of money he made when he was on the air.
Well, and I wonder
him opposing you.
I wonder what he's already under contract for. You know what I mean? Like there may already be some clause in his contract that says, if we leave, there's X amount of time.
Sure.
I don't know.
Fox News, man, they're smart. They're not stupid. But it was very shocking seeing him leave.
Yes, I was surprised. Although in hindsight, one of those things where like I was
Greatest
surprised
wine,
right
thank you
away, and
for
then like
the
2
5
days later,
gifted.
I'm like, how was he ever even there? Like, how would this guy was on the 8 p.m. hour at Fox News saying the CIA killed Kennedy? Like, how was that ever a real thing? You know,
Right.
like
He
it's
did
like
say that.
it's insane. He was like it. But what's crazy to me is that like so many progressives have like it's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers or something. It's like, is this the real you, man? Have you just been replaced with an NPC? The 8 p.m. hour at Fox News is saying the CIA killed Kennedy. That's not interesting to you?
Right.
That's not like I'm not saying you have to agree with him on everything, but like that's different than Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah.
This is a different world we're living in.
So Tucker is younger than Bill O'Reilly and has a definitely a better understanding of the digital media landscape. So he could potentially have a future in online media. Will he ever have the same level of prominence? Absolutely not. Let's be real, okay? It is tremendously difficult to captivate the same vast audiences that you get on television because the demographic still watches TV. The demographic of hyper-conservative boomers still certainly watch television. Online, you don't have as many old people tuning into the same place at the same time, and developing habitual viewership online is going to be very difficult. Like Ben Shapiro does a really good job with the Daily Wire and have a lot of success because they were born into the online space. They, have TV slots every now and then, but ultimately they're online media demons. When you go from television to online, you kind of crater a little bit, okay? No matter what happens, his exposure will be dampened and he will never be able to recover. He will never be able to get to the same level of prominence that he had. And that is ultimately a good thing.
Right.
I think he was the most interesting person in cable news, the most thoughtful, most intelligent. Like he was really, I don't agree with him on anything. On my podcast, we used to do a segment where I had just done it so many times that we started joking about it being a segment that we called Contra Carlson because I was just disagreeing with him. Like he had all these economic ideas that I completely disagree with. And I disagree with a lot of stuff he said, but he was like such a the lone voice in like really the corporate press who was completely opposed to the military industrial complex, completely opposed to big pharma and all of the COVID insanity. It was really good on like speaking up about a lot of really important issues that you would think like a good leftist would at least appreciate that he's good on that issue, you know? And some of them did. This is what he's the guy who's having Glenn Greenwald on his show. You know what I mean? He's the guy who's having Aaron Mattei and Jimmy Dore.
Yes.
These aren't right wingers.
Yes.
He's having like he's having them.
A lot of left wingers.
And it was very interesting. He was
Yeah, I loved going on Tucker Carlson's broadcast as a left winger. He asked to have me on all the time, famously.
When you live in a multi-million-dollar home in LA, it can be hard. Mr. Piker, thank you so much for coming on.
That's a little sus. Okay?
At this point, we can say for certain David DePappy assaulted Paul Pelosi with a hammer. But you can't blame, and this is the point, you can't blame people watching all of us at home for thinking that maybe there's something weird going on here.
No! You're just mentally ill! It's not.
This is a guy who lived off his parents until late middle age, who's never had a real job, and he's got rich kid views. Good evening, it's Tucker Carlson. One of the first things you realize when you step outside the noise for a few days is how unbelievably stupid most of the debates you see on television are. They're completely irrelevant. They mean nothing. In 5 years, we won't even remember that we had them. Trust me, as someone who's participated. And yet at the same time, and this is the amazing thing, the undeniably big topics, the ones that will define our future, get virtually no discussion at all. War, civil liberties, emerging science, demographic change, corporate power.
Demographic change. You had to slide that in there, dude. Yeah. Why is nobody talking about demographic change? What's going on? Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's really up that people aren't constantly upset that white people are having sex with non-white people. You know what I mean? People are they should be talking about that. What's going on? I think about that all the time. Miscegenation, very big problem. Back in the day, America used to be a proud nation, a nation where you couldn't do miscegenation.